Hello, what is up ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I am from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos as always. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more Let's Play of Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble for the Super Nintendo and Game Boy Advance. So, last time we basically managed to complete the forms of the third world in the game, which is Mykonos. I think that's what the world itself is named, by the way. Or something. Maybe it has been about a week ago since we actually last touched this game, because obviously I'll explain more details about that. I'm sure that Mighty and Ray has already mentioned about this already. So, anyways, today for this episode is the fact that we are moving on to the next world in the game, which is Cotton Top Cove, and this one appears to be a huge emphasis on a water-themed world. So before we get into the actual main world, there's that secret cave which actually leads us to Bounty Bay, and once again we have to do a Simon Says kind of segment here, so I think I might able to... darn it. Yeah, if you mess this up, thankfully you can able to retry as many times as you want, because obviously there's no, you know, limitations or anything. Assuming if you accidentally, like, turn off your game or something like that. But either way though, it knows where it stands, so there we go, now I got that correct, and that should give me another banana bird. So we should be all good to go by that point. So anyways, let's get started with the forms of Buzzer's Blockade. So this appears to be yet again a underwater themed level, and well, very much like in Donkey Kong Country 1 and Donkey Kong Country 2, in some water levels, well, specifically some underwater levels, is that we can able to swim around on. So because of that though, yeah, it's pretty much exactly similar in the forms of how it does it on the previous two games, except the fact that, well, relatively speaking, that's as far as I can usually try to say about it. I mean, usually relatively speaking, that the visuals in this particular level looks so much more vibrant, and as a result, it just makes things a lot more gorgeous from the likes of the actual, like, well, underwater levels in general, or something like that. I know it has been a while since I actually did manage to play this game, as I said earlier, mainly because today's day is of course the 17th, actually I'll get to more now in a second. Here's the first bonus area right down there, and basically so you have to, like, you know, just avoid these little green-like fishies right there. They're just trying to able to come straight towards you, and yeah, I think this is what we're going to be doing with in this level, so yeah, that might be seems the case. So yeah, as I said with this before, today's day is of course the 17th of August today, in this case in 2021, and it looks like that we're still on the halfway point in terms of, well, August already. So because of that though, until whenever we move on to the next great month, which appears to be by the forms of September, which is the month where, you know, Sonic Colors Ultimate is about to be coming out, as well as the forms of WarioWare Get It Together on the Switch, and heck, even with the forms of the James Bond film, No Time to Die. So because of that though, hopefully we should be able to finally get that film released on the big screen. So yeah, I was really hoping for that, so... And it's also worth noting for the sake of this point today, well, specifically in the UK version, so because of this though, the UK versions of the release of New Super Mario Bros. 2 for the 3DS actually did manage to become 9 years old today, specifically in the UK. Well, we already did, although it already did, mind you, in the Japanese release of the game. So, meaning about the fact that the Japanese release came out first before we got it. So, yeah, I can't even believe that game is now 9 years old. Like, shouldn't they just call it, like, Super Mario Bros. 7 or something like that? I mean, it makes sense, because new Super Mario Bros., it just feels kind of, like, obsolete right now, just because of how the fact that, well, those are 3 games at the moment, well, specifically New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, or like to call it Super Mario Bros. 5, and New Super Mario Bros. Wii, I like to call it Super Mario Bros. 6, and especially noticeable recently for New Super Mario Bros. 2, aka Super Mario Bros. 7, and eventually by that time until specifically in November, that New Super Mario Bros. U, specifically the original Wii U release, I like to call it Super Mario Bros. 8, because obviously that new feels a bit more obsolete right now. And because of that though, it's nothing new anymore. Well, technically if you want to able to also count New Super Luigi U, or if I like to call it Super Luigi U or something like that. And as far as I'm aware with the forms of, well, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, well, usually that particular version of the game came out 2 years ago, so there's not much right to hum about. So yeah, I just want to classify that for such. So, and I even remember back in the day, well, usually that Piglet did actually mention about that game a lot for New Super Mario Bros. 2. Back in the forms of when he did his original Let's Play of Mario Party 7 back in the day, but of course that particular Let's Play is no longer there anymore just because of, you know what I mean, bad quality, as well as the forms of a bad commentary at the same time, so yeah, you probably get the gist of it. Oh, something's worth mentioning though is the fact that once you reach at the very end of these water levels, basically, that every single time whenever you finish the level, well, if you think you've almost done with the level, thankfully there's actually a DK hero coin that is located at the very end of a level, so thankfully you don't have to worry about that. So, anyways, next level, Rocket Barrel Ride. And this, what appears to be, we're going to be hit onto a new environment, which appears to be a waterfall levels. Now, to me though, this is my second least favorite types of worlds, or in this case, my least favorite types of levels, because I don't know why, there's something about the forms of those particular levels like this that just gives me a bit of a troublesome, especially noticeable if you try to able to like, well, the only thing I dislike about this particular world environment like this is that trying to find these bonus areas is way too difficult. I mean, seriously, it is way too harder than it looks and all that stuff. I know it's down to in my opinion, but I'm sure that most people already have their own opinions too, so yeah, we might able to try to deal with the forms of some tricky scenarios like this, so... And I believe in here, this is where we get ourselves the next bear coin, even though right now we only got 30 of them. Although, mind you, until the next video, we might possibly try to able to get ourselves some even more bear coins in the future, just because we still need able to actually try to purchase the mirror, and by that time, once we purchase the mirror, I believe we're pretty much done when it comes to the forms of using the bear coins collectathon, because obviously that we're able to use those for the sake of the forms of the final item to purchase. Well, what if we get into the next side quests and all that stuff, or some fetch quests for that matter, and oh jeez, and there's also another thing that does bother me about these kinds of levels like this, is that depending if you're either in behind the waterfall, or in this case, if you're right in front of the waterfall, sometimes that you might easily fall off for the sake of, like, if you're able to actually just to, like, well, obviously it's entirely in vertical and all that stuff, and then as a result, if you accidentally messed it up with your moves and all that stuff, even especially noticeable if you're trying to find those specific, you know, bonus areas, and also say applies to other stuff as well, but next thing you notice is the fact that you might as well continuously falling off for quite a few times, and it's just a bit too tedious at points. Well, at least for the most part, because, well, relatively speaking, it's just the fact that it's a bit time consuming if you keep messing things up, so... Anyway, first bonus area is right here. It's not that difficult, because you can able to tell where the, well, let's just say these little flying insects were located. So, in this case, like, I would say ladybugs or something, even though, again, it has been about a week ago since I actually last touched this game, because as far as you guys should probably already know, that we did have a really great time with the forms of our another summer break, which appears to be, this time around, me, Mighty, and Ray are actually spending some time together on the forms of the Eastbourne Hotel. And I'm gonna say, it is definitely worth it, especially noticeable about the fact that since we're still able to actually experiencing summer at this rate, and by that time it's the fact that it looks like that Mighty, that he did mention to me about the fact that, well, he's pretty much almost done with Mario Party 5, and once he's done with Mario Party 5, then once sure enough we're able to move on to the next set of Let's Plays, well, let's just say 3 new Let's Plays at some point until, well, the next couple of days. I think we've only got about 15 days to go, actually, until we move on to September, so... yeah, things get a little bit more relative at this point, especially noticeable about the fact that obviously with new games coming and what have you, but at least I'm still incredibly hyped about the forms of how, you know, September actually plays out, so... Oh, and something's worth mentioning is the fact that if you're trying to deal with these tougher enemies like these ones here, thankfully, if you try to use Kitty Kong, basically he can do a lot of work. Although for Dixie Kong, on the other hand, though, she will not deal the actual damage on them. So, yeah, best advice is to be able to use Kitty Kong for the sake of trying to deal with them. So, and here's the next bonus area, in this case the last bonus area on the stage, and you can either do two different methods actually. You can either use Kitty Kong's throw, or you can able to actually do the normal fashion way by, you know, just trying to find it normally. So, but personally speaking, I always attempt to able to go through like, you know, the hardcore, pretty cool, faster trick, because obviously it speeds my game, of course. So anyway, so let's just go ahead and find ourselves the next DK coin here. And this is kind of clever, well, assuming if you try to do it normally, or try to do it properly, because rather than doing that, because obviously that the steel barrel will instantly disappear, or specifically they're able to get blocked by the coin enemy easily. So instead of trying to throw it normally, you have to throw it upwards and then gain blast off into that particular cannon, and that way you can get yourselves the actual DK hero coin. So it's kind of weird that we keep on having ourselves parry the birds the whole way through, which is kind of weird. But at least on the upside is the fact that we did manage to done this stage okay enough, despite that we occasionally fall off, but that's okay, because we actually on 42%, so it took me about an hour and 11 minutes to do so. But we're still not exactly done with this yet though, just because I think we're on the halfway point of this world. So, Creeping Collapse, I think that's what the level itself is named, by the way, or something like that. Again, I did actually apologize with the actual mispronunciation of these specific levels like this, just because again it's been about a week ago since I actually, like, you know, last upload this particular game, because obviously with Eastbourne, you know, hotel break and all that stuff, which I always have a really great time with that. Even though despite the weather itself is pretty meh, especially noticeable ever since like the past few weeks ago, that I swear we keep on coming across into ourselves some worst weather conditions. Like, this is supposed to be summer, damn it. Especially noticeable about the fact that since that heat wave, usually in the past few days anyway, that it didn't show up at all for the sake of like, by the end of July, and especially noticeable in the beginning of this month. So I was like, are you for real, weather? You try to able to make it a little bit more daunting or gloomy? I mean, for crying out loud, this is summer we're gonna be hit onto right now. Whatever. At least that's the only downside of this year's summer, for the sake of like the bad weather conditions just like completely ruins everything, because, well, I do adjust it by the fact that, well, usually relatively speaking, I did have some good times with these summer weathers as well, but regardless of anything else though, it's just that, well, it's just all over the place, I'm telling you. So anyways, let's go ahead and dodge these little TNT barrel looking enemies, and because if you dare touch one, then obviously it will cause you explosions and all that stuff. So yeah, you don't want to let that happen, especially noticeable that, well, you just, okay, that's fine, because if we go down here, then another bonus area. So, and basically you just have to like find a coin, and that's pretty much about it. Unfortunately though, we have to do this the hard way, just because obviously Kitty Kong doesn't have the ability to able to hover and everything, unlike Dixie Kong, that she can able to use her ponytail to able to hover and certain stuff, and able to actually avoid everything in the process. So yeah, that pretty much summarizes as such. So alright, so we're almost there now, so, oh jeez, how am I supposed to get there? Oh, okay, I did not meant to do that. Although what I do know is the fact that you have to able to be super precise with all these, you know, movements and everything. But luckily we got the midway point, so that should be okay. And I think it's probably best able to switch to Dixie Kong, because obviously she can able to do a lot of hard jobs to do. In fact, kind of think about it though, is the fact that I feel like that Dixie Kong, she's actually the queen when it comes to platformers and platforming and such, because obviously with her ponytail, by using as the helicopter ability, then it will be super useful. Even though, unlike in Tropical Freeze, that her ability is slightly similar, but ultimately speaking, it actually acted out quite a lot differently to it though, but then again, it has been a while since I actually managed to notice about any single movesets in between. So anyways, it looks like we stumbled across the coin enemy right there. Now if you're probably wondering, there's the steel barrel right there, which happens to be at the very end of a level, by the way. So yeah, it's something's worth noting for. And don't throw it like that, because that would be an idiot if you managed able to throw it like that. So instead of doing that, we have to able to just throw straight forward rather than just upwards, because obviously it'll just continuously roll to the right. So yeah, that's something worth noting for. Okay, so that's it for that level, and we'll pretty much move on to the next level, which is Tracker Barrel Trek. And once again, we're going back into a waterfall kind of levels, which I'm not a big fan of these kinds of levels like this, because I already mentioned about this earlier. It's just the fact that sometimes, you know, it's just a bit too tedious if you keep on messing up with jumps and what have you. So, yeah, anyway, the main gimmick of this level is the forms of those T with arrows barrels. And this meaning about the fact it's like tracker barrels. And basically, depending on what directions you'll be able to be blasting off to, like, if you manage to hop into the one of those barrels, you can able to actually just move your character while you're able to blast in midair. And then next you notice is the fact that the tracker barrel will follow you at all times. So at least that's a kind of a cool gimmick to it. Which yeah, because of that though, I really don't mind several mechanics on certain stages. Even though, mind you, there might be some exceptions, mind you, like, let's just say towards the very end of the game that we might able to actually stumble across some some frustrating levels, mainly for like, well, I would say one of them only forms within World 6, and the other one in the 7th world, which I'm sure that most people already know what I'm going to talk about, especially noticeable about the fact that if you guys who ever played the Game Boy Advance version or the Super Nintendo version, then you mostly likely know exactly what I'm going to try to say, so. Oh, and another it's also worth noting for this point too. Ah, darn it. I hate how the fact that the actual tracker barrel just always keeps following that, you know, with that buzzer enemies like this, which it kind of bothers me a bit, but luckily we got ourselves a DK barrel, so thankfully we've got that at least, so. Oh yeah, I should probably point this out as well, that, generally speaking, Donkey Kong Country 3 came out the exact same year as when Donkey Kong Land 2, for the Game Boy of all things, came out during the same year. So something's worth classified for mentioning that, especially noticeable that unlike in, the third installment of the Donkey Kong Land game, that game didn't came out until 1997, or in Japan, I think it's in 2000 or something, just because, well, the Japanese release of the game didn't manage able to got the exclusive Game Boy Color release. So, yeah, that's something worth classifying for noticing this, so there we go. At least we got ourselves our bonus coin, so thankfully at least we got that. And yeah, as you can see, we are once again taking control of Ellie the elephant right there, so that way we can able to, you know, use the water to able to actually get rid of enemies and all that stuff to make things a bit easier and simple. So, yeah, that pretty much summarizes as such. So, oh, really? I can't believe I got hit right there. Even though I was clearly able to hit him, but apparently I just accidentally run into him. Oh well, no big deal, but at least we can able to refill the water and everything, so that pretty much summarizes such. I believe the DK Hero coin is going to be at the end of the level, I'm pretty sure. So, well, once we're able to actually pass for this part first, so. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get this another bear coin, which at this point, I think we've already got 14, bear coins to go until we basically done with the forms of the bear coin collecting. So yeah, I think I was gonna think about that. So okay, this is kind of tricky because you have to able to get into the right spot, and when you've done the right spot, then there's your DK Hero coin. So pretty cool, and I think I pretty much get it for the doubt. So alright, so we basically finished the level here, so not too bad. Alright, so it looks like we've already got this next level down now, which is we're going back into underwater. And this is Fish Food Frenzy. And in this level's mechanic is the actual feeding fish. As you see, that he follows you throughout the whole level. And every time when he stumbles across the actual fish-like enemies, or some urchins for that matter, I think if you managed able to let him eat the regular fish enemies, basically his color will able to actually go blue. And as you can see, that the more you're able to keep along with him though, his color will actually change. And you got to be very careful not to let him eat a lot of urchins, or to be more specifically, if you're able to leave him for too long, and as a result, if he managed to get distracted by eating a lot more urchins, he will eventually turn into like dark blue, and especially noticeable until purple, pink, and especially noticeable the worst offender of these little hungry fish is that if he turns to red, then basically he'll try to eat you. So yeah, you don't let that happen, don't you? Especially noticeable that I think if you accidentally let him eat the urchins, that it'll actually get even much more redder. So I think the best advice for this is to able to let him eat regular fish enemies, because that way it'll calm him down. So yeah, that pretty much that's as far as I can say about that tip. So and of course, we're gonna have to keep on collecting those green bananas, and that should be good to go. So I think we're now on to 40 of those bonus coins now. So yeah, it feels like that we've pretty much almost at the halfway point of this game already. So, and once that's been done, then we can pretty much expect that we're pretty much done with the forms of the Donkey Kong Country trilogy of Super Nintendo games. Even though, mind you, there is still more Donkey Kong Let's Plays I could possibly try to do, mainly for like Donkey Kong 64 or Donkey Kong Land 1, 2, and 3 on the Game Boy, and heck, even with the forms of Donkey Kong Country Returns, and of course Tropical Freeze, but that won't happen for a very, very long time. So, yeah, because obviously we still need to focusing on other Let's Plays, so... Oh, come on! Well, whatever. At least we got a midway point though, so at least that's the good thing about it, so... Good thing that midway point is actually just right where I left off when I accidentally died from that specific red fishes that I did not meant to touch for. But that's okay. Alright, so it looks like we've almost there now, so yeah, you're just gonna have to able to keep on letting him eating more regular fishes, because that'll be the best option, because obviously he won't, you know, harm you or anything, especially when he goes like a smile grim. That actually represents good, but if he becomes a little bit more vicious, then that means it'll go incredibly awful and bad. So yeah, it doesn't matter what specific fishes that he's gonna eat, either the red ones or the green ones, because they pretty much exactly the same aside from that different color variation. So yeah, that might be summarized as such. Alright, I believe if I get the strong sense of... Uh-oh. Ah, jeez. Okay. That's fine, because, wow, I just have to be very careful not to let him eat me too much. But we'll just, eat some more red fishes, so just in case it will calm down. And, is there anything up there? Because I'm sure there was a bonus area somewhere. No, it's not up there, but... not down there, just because, it contains nothing. But I get the feeling, if we swim up... Look at that, the second bonus area. Thankfully, the DK Hero coin is always going to be at the end of a level, so thankfully there's nothing you need to worry about for trying to find a steel barrel and trying to able to deal with the coin-like enemy in the underwater. So yeah, that's pretty much as far as I can say about it. So anyways, let's go ahead and like make him eating more fishies here. So yeah, that's pretty much as far as I can say about it. But thankfully we still got more time left, so hopefully we would be able to get this next bonus coin, which, true enough, we actually got 41 so far. So yeah, we are getting there, folks, for the sake of likely if we're able to get into the halfway point of this. So anyway, so let's just go ahead and retrieve or received Kitty Kong again. And we do need to require him to able to reach up to the next DK Hero Coin. So, and hopefully, if I was trying to able to do it correctly, if I was about to, there we go. And that should able to lead us to a steel barrel. But thankfully, these steel barrels will respawn if you mess it up. Although, there might be some exceptions, mind you, that I'm sure enough that, well, we'll point it out until whenever we get into the next world. Or, in some cases, that we pretty much already know about ever since in the third part. So, yeah, like that one time they only have to do one attempt after when you deal with that animal buddy, which is of course the purple variation of Squirks. So anyways, let's move on to Squirt's Showdown. In this case, the boss in this world. And the entire fight is going to be mainly focusing on Ellie the Elephant the whole time. And basically, in order to deal with this boss, is that you have to fill up the actual water ammo for Ellie the Elephant, and you have to shoot those water at the Squirt's eyes. And it's kind of a bizarre boss fight, which I know it sounds crazy, but from the look of it though, he's actually hiding inside the actual waterfall, which seems pretty weird if you ask me. But regardless of such, this boss fight is pretty easy though, especially noticeable about the fact that the only trickiest part about this boss fight is that you got to pay attention to the forms of that specific, you know, timing and what have you, and especially that you get out to able to, like, be very careful not to slip off the actual, the battle arena, because if you do, then you have to redo the entire fight again. And also be very careful that he spits out fire, or, well, water, and because of that though, if you get touched by the water that he's spitting out, basically you get blown off, or you get knocked back, so you have to be very cautious with that. I did not mean to say fire, I have to be honest here, because I know it has been such a week since, you know, since I last played it, so, yeah, forgive me on my part. So, I think he's almost done, he's just, he only got about a few hits left, so yeah, sometimes if you've almost run out of water, then it's probably best to able to, like, refill it again. So, and he's done. And as you can see, we got ourselves another ski part. This means about the fact that we can now head over back to Funky's Rentals. And because of that though, that yes, in order able to continue your progressioning, we have to complete both worlds. It doesn't matter what worlds you go to, so because of that, it's entirely up to you. So, anyway, so let's meet up with Funky Kong again. And since, you know, we can able to give him 2 skis, so that means we can able to upgrade our next boat. So in this case, let's see what boat are we going to be using. Turbo Ski. Okay, so we'll catch a ride on there. And what's cool about this particular Turbo Ski is that not only do you go faster, but also you can able to... hold on. You can able to go through waterfalls, which is pretty cool if you ask me. And you can also able to actually win for those rocks as well, just like the hovercraft. So that seems pretty cool. But anyways, before we end off this video, we need to like get ourselves our next banana bird. So there we go. There's our next one here. So now, since we actually got ourselves our Turbo Ski on, which I already mentioned this earlier, this means we can now able to actually move on to the next world. So, yeah, that should be pretty swell. Especially noticeable about the fact that, well, generally speaking, that we're pretty much at the halfway point of the game. So, yeah, everything else all comes together, do I say. So, but of course, there's nothing we can do to this particular place, because we do need that specific item in order to able to get something and what have you. So anyways, let's go for these waterfalls, and we'll go ahead and end things off here. So join me next time, but Let's Play Donkey Kong Country 3 is the fact that we're going to be hit on to the forms of the 5th world, known as K3. Kind of a weird name, huh? So see you guys until Thursday.